Welcome to the Brothers Sinatra Podcast, the only podcast featuring two swinging brothers talking about One Piece. I'm Jack Sinatra.
And I'm Tyler Sinatra.
And we're
the Brothers Sinatra.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty good. I
We
think
sure
maybe.
are.
I don't know if it was good that time.
I
can
think
never
it was
tell.
great. Now, let me tell you this, Tyler. If you don't have color for hair and special skills, you can get out of here. Because we're putting together a crew and heading straight for the Grand Line to become two brother pirate kings. No, don't flash back. We were just getting somewhere. Today, we're talking about Netflix's live-action One Piece, baby.
Oh, yeah, Jackie. That hurt my soul so much. We'll talk about more of it later.
We
here
got
we go.
a lot to talk about.
We got a lot to say.
We got a lot to talk
gosh.
about.
It's a
But
deep
first, we got to
topic
talk
for
about
me.
the socials, okay? Now, follow us on Spotify and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. If it's Apple, if it's Amazon, I don't care. And guess what? You got to also follow us on Instagram. Like all the
Instagram.
posts, Facebook,
Oh,
TikTok.
yeah.
You can go
TikToks.
to YouTube. You know, we'll get some more stuff on there.
We'll
I
get
promise.
stuff on there
it's a
later.
little bit harder to get traction on the YouTube, okay? We're not putting a lot of thought into it. We're just kind of dumping stuff there.
We're just shoving things on there and
Just
hoping
shoving it in there.
hoping it works.
Okay? It's
shoving
not a
it
big
in.
deal, okay?
It's not a big. Don't even worry about it.
I'm not worried about it.
I'm not worried. Why would you be worried?
Well, I'm not.
Stop being worried.
But what I would be worried about is our upcoming shows, okay? And the best place to go find those is at our website, veryentertaining.biz, okay?
It's .biz because we're a business, folks. We're a business.
Correct. Yeah, and we worked really hard to get the .biz. So go to veryentertaining.biz. It'll have our shows. It'll have a lot of big buttons that you can just press and get the different fun stuff, okay?
I love pressing buttons, Jackie, especially
I know you
yours.
do, Tyler. I know you do. And that's why today we're doing a Tyler special, okay? We're doing Two Brothers, One Piece, all right? So we were doing Sinatra Streams, Sinatra Classics. This is its own thing, Tyler. Are you excited?
Oh, I'm so excited, Jackie. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I've been waiting for this moment my entire life.
So, folks, if you haven't
dream.
been paying attention, and if you're not on the Instagram and the TikTok, sometimes when we're loading our gear into the door, we're talking about, these different One Piece topics, okay? We're talking about who's better between Zoro and Sanji, all right?
We all know the answer to that.
All right, well, let's get into that maybe next week because Sanji doesn't even show up in this collection of episodes.
He's not here yet, folks. He's not even here. Don't even worry.
Okay, but before we get into what we're actually talking about today with live-action One Piece, Tyler, why don't you tell everybody what is your background with One Piece, with the source material that we're talking about today?
Now, folks, this is important to understand. One Piece has been airing for a very long time. Since Jack and I were children.
Since 1999, I believe. 1999,
yes, Jackie, that is correct. Now, I, at the time, was what one would call a Dragon Ball Z head. And when you picked one of the big three animes that had come to our shores at that time, being Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, and One Piece. Oh, the One Piece, Jack. You had to pick one of them. And when you pick one, you kind of stuck with your crew. But later in your life, Jackie, you come around. And about 2 or 3 years ago, I started watching this One Piece, Jackie. And it brought back memories of seeing these episodes in passing in childhood. And then, people say it's too many episodes. There are about 1,000 episodes.
I think there's a lot more than 1,000, isn't there?
When I started, there was like 900 some to 1,000 episodes. Oh, I binge watched all of those, Jackie, and then I just couldn't get enough. So then I started reading all of the manga, and then I started looking up all of the spoilers online, and then I started looking up content creators that spoke exclusively Japanese so they could explain to me what the exact written language of the manga said versus the English translation. Now, let me explain this to you, folks. It's a hyperfixation for me. I can't help it. I can't stop. I love it. It's wonderful world building. And honestly, folks, by the end of his life, Ichiro Oda, the mangaka of the One Piece, may become one of the top-selling writers of all time, overthrowing Shakespeare. Currently, he's in a battle, dollars-wise, between J.K. Rowling and him. Oh, could you imagine that? This man has sold in dollars as much as J.K. Rowling. That's the Harry Potter lady, Jackie. That's the Harry Potter lady.
I'm aware, and she's very non-problematic, as we all know.
Non-problematic.
But suffice it to say, Tyler, you're going to be our One Piece expert here, okay? Because for me, while you were in the living room watching your One Piece, I was, working in the garage with Uncle Enzo, okay? If I was watching any anime, it was definitely the Dragon Ball Zs, because that's just what happened to be on Nickelodeon when I got home.
Yeah, Jackie.
I wasn't going out and looking for this stuff. It came to me. So I had, a little bit of Pokemon dabbling, as we all did in the 90s. I had,
Everyone dabbled in a
Dragon
Pokemon,
Ball
Jackie.
Z. I saw, the odd Spirited Away and that sort of thing. But other than that, this is something that I haven't really been day in, day out going into. So for me, I cracked open the One Piece a couple of months ago. I watched about 3-4 episodes, and then that was it. Okay, so I saw, basically, since we're talking about the live action, I was familiar with what happened in the very first episode. Everything else is going to be brand new to me. So I'm coming at this from a novice perspective. I don't really have any background in the anime other than that one episode. So it's going to be interesting to see between someone who's seen everything and someone who's seen nothing. What do we take from this live action rendition of One Piece on Netflix?
Oh, yeah, Jackie, I'm interested to hear your take.
Oh, I'm sure you are, and I'm sure you'll be fine with everything I have to say. So
no, I'm actually probably going to agree with most of it, to be honest with you.
Well, we'll find out, Tyler. But first, let's go over a few Sinatra stats, and we're gonna go through this rather quickly. We're not gonna go blow by blow, but basically, yes, we're talking about Netflix's One Piece live action. Came out in 2023. We're going through the first 4 episodes. Okay, so we split the season in half. We're gonna do one half this week. We're gonna do the other half next week. And why are we doing this right now, Tyler?
Oh, Jackie, because the second season is coming out March 10th on Netflix.
So March 10th, we got season 2 of live action.
It's a Tuesday.
One Piece. We're going to be more or less hitting that one in real time. Who knows how we'll split it up? Maybe we'll take a little bit more, care with each episode. But our plan is basically for the next month, we're going to be pretty steeped in this One Piece stuff, okay?
Oh, yeah, Jackie, it won't matter what rate we decide to take it at. I'm watching all of the episodes on the first day.
Oh, I know you are, Tyler. Now, here's the thing. This is a fantasy adventure. There's probably a lot of different genres that they throw in there. It's wacky. It's long. There's a lot of different characters that come in. My wife is currently, somewhere in the middle of between where Tyler and I are right now. And every time I walk by, there's new stuff happening that I don't understand, okay?
She's just started her journey, Jackie. It's only going to get better from here.
Oh, sure. Well, this is, as we said, based on the One Piece anime and the manga, all right? The rating is TV-14, and there's some fun stuff. I always like to look at the rating and kind of what it says is going to happen, and basically among those things are violence, language, smoking, nudity, intense scenes, self-harm. So already I'm like, oh, there's a little bit happening here, okay? It's based on a cartoon, but there's some very adult things that's going to happen, but maybe
Jackie,
only to a certain point, okay? Because, you can show it to a 14-year-old and they're going to be fine, all right? Yeah. So the showrunners for this first season were Matt Owens and Stephen Maeda. I don't know much about Matt Owens, but apparently Stephen Maeda was a writer on X-Files, and he was a showrunner for a couple shows I've never seen before, one of which was called Helix, and the other was Pan Am. So never seen either of those. I've heard of Pan Am, but basically that's the background. So Maeda probably crossed paths with Vince Gilligan, who was also an X-Files writer. But other than that, I don't know too much about these guys, all right?
All I know about Matt Owens is that he is a huge fan, Jackie, and that's part of the reason why he got the job. And I know that he is no longer part of the show running for season 3.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to it. It changes hands. There's new showrunners. It seems like there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, so hopefully they can, make it an even experience for all of us.
Oh, the ship will sail fine, Jackie. Don't worry.
Or, just get a new ship.
At least I hope. I hope it'll sail fine.
We'll see.
I have my dreams. Please, Netflix, keep making seasons.
All right, let's talk about this cast. All right. We got Iñaki Godoy as Monkey D. Luffy. We got young Monkey D. Luffy played by Colton Osorio. We got Emily Rudd as Nami. We got Makenyu as Roronoa Zoro. We got Maximilian Lee Piazza as young Zoro. We got Jacob Gibson as Usopp. We got Kevin Saula as young Usopp. Vincent Regan as Garp. Okay? Yes, we find that out. Sorry.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Sorry,
it's a thing.
spoilers.
It's a whole thing.
That's the
We're
It's
supposed
the
to say
end of
spoilers
episode
first,
4.
but, you know, that's
Oops.
just how they do it on the
Sorry.
Wikipedias.
That's how they did it. Too bad. Now you learn.
Well, you know, some people may not even realize what that means. It's fine.
Yeah.
Let's just call
some
him
people
Admiral
don't
Garp,
understand.
okay? That's
some
fine.
people don't understand naming conventions in different cultures.
I still don't.
Jackie.
All right. We got Jeff Ward as Buggy the Clown and Morgan Davies as Kobe. Okay, so we got
Kobe.
a cast of characters. Those are all the people that, you know, we kind of consider the main ones. And we'll probably hit the featuring folks as they come up. I just want to shout out a couple here. Aiden Scott as Helmeppo, Peter Gaudio as Shanks, and anybody else, probably Langley Kirkwood as Axan Morgan. And I think the rest will hit should they come up in the rest of our conversation.
They will, Jackie. At least a few. At least a few.
So this was originally released on August 31st, 2023. It was in development for a long time and got kind of hampered by COVID and then the SAG-AFTRA strike. So a lot of stuff has led to delays in the production, and especially since they intend, at least from a creative perspective, they think they have enough story for 12 seasons. I mean, they got to get rolling before this cast ages out, okay? Now,
Fully, Jackie, but, you know, as things go in Hollywood,
who knows?
Not going to happen. Luckily, well, okay, I don't want it. It doesn't matter. There's a built-in feature of this story that would allow them to age a little bit.
Well, that's good.
But I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, you don't want to know
right
about it here.
You don't want to know about it now.
So the runtime for each episode is between 49 and 63 minutes. So basically you're talking sitting down for an hour per episode. So since we're hitting 4 episodes, this is by far the most content we've ever tried to shove into a Brothers Sinatra podcast.
But folks, we're going to shove it in quick.
Absolutely. And each episode cost about $18 million to make. So this is a pretty high budget show. There's a lot going on. They put a lot of story into each episode as is necessary because, as you would imagine, you're probably fitting a minimum of 4 episodes in an episode, probably more once you really get rolling here.
Oh, Jackie, it's so much more when you really look at the amount of information they give you. They give you way more information than just a few episodes. Like you learning that. Well, we'll talk about it later. The Monkey D. Garp thing is like a reveal for much later on in the anime, and they give it to you episode 4 in the show.
For reasons we can talk about. But the Rotten Tomatoes, now, this One Piece live action thing, this is not the first Netflix live action attempt at an anime or anime adjacent story, okay?
Oh, Jackie, please.
So,
don't.
I mean, they did Avatar, okay, and it's not technically an anime, as is
Jackie. But I thought you were going to talk about Death Note for a second.
Oh no, I don't. To be honest with you, Tyler, I don't even know what that is. So it was disappointing.
Oh, Jackie, I could talk about the Death Note thing for like 2 hours. We can skip it.
No good.
It betrayed the source material for me.
Let's just say that these live action versions of animated, properties on Netflix have not really had a major hit. But the Rotten Tomatoes for this one, 86% critic score, 95% audience score, which is probably about where you would want to be for something like this, because you would imagine a lot of critics are coming in not really understanding what's going on. So the fact that the scores are that high on both end, it bodes well for, the series at large.
And to be frank with all of you folks, the audience score is padded. The fandom is as rabid as I am, or more. So the 9% difference is made up for with the fandom.
But that's good. I mean, you need to, if
you
those
need that,
people
folks.
want
you need
the
it.
12 seasons, you gotta do that sort of thing.
Pump those scores up, folks.
Pump the numbers so that Netflix
Get
says,
it to
hey,
98.
Let's go ahead and make more of this. And just want to mention as well the filming location. This was primarily shot, I believe entirely shot in Cape Town, South Africa. So both
correct,
the outdoor
Jackie.
scenes as well as the studio work was done there. There's a lot of South African actors as well that are part of the cast. So let's go ahead and do an official spoiler alert. You already got a bonus spoiler, okay, if you were paying attention.
Bonus spoiler if you
There's a
know
bonus
naming
spoiler.
conventions.
However, if you're walking into this, One Piece live action episode of a podcast 3 years after it came out and you haven't seen it, I have to ask, what are you even doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
So,
Folks, it's a
this is
phenomenon.
a spoiler alert, all right? We're throwing up a flare. It might have that red powder, makes you sleepy, what
Yeah.
Buggy the Clown was doing. But,
he's
it's
a
spoiler
trickster.
alert. Oh,
He's a flashy trickster, Jackie.
He's
He's
a-
a flashy genius jester.
yeah, he's a flash man.
Okay, don't say Flash, man. He's flashy.
Whatever the translation was in the English, because again, I did see those first 3 episodes. They said something real funny in the English translation, different from what's
Yeah.
in the live action show, and I don't
It
remember
is
what
flashy. Flashy is
It was like-
correct.
He was the flashy something though, and it was really funny, and I can't think of what it was.
Oh, honestly, it's been a while since I've watched the Buggy episodes.
Yeah, well, it's
Jackie.
way back there, Tyler. So let's
gotta
get
go
into
back.
this. We're going to do Sinatra Summaries, and I could have had a 10-page, 3,000-word rendition of this. I'm really going to try to keep this short, and I'm going to skip over massive chunks of plot, okay?
And I'm only going to fake looking at my watch twice.
Yep, I like it. So we
Go on.
start with Romance Dawn. That's the first episode. In Logue Town, I believe it's called, Vice Admiral Garp executes Gold Roger, the king of the pirates, but not before he sets all pirates on a quest to search for his treasure, the One Piece. 22 years later in the present, Monkey D. Luffy, a lanky man-child in a straw hat, is obsessed with finding the One Piece and becoming king of the pirates himself. After hopping in a barrel, he soon ends up on the ship of thick pirate captain Alvida. Luffy defeats Alvida with his Stretch Armstrong capabilities and escapes with her cabin boy Kobe, who dreams of becoming a Marine. We learn via flashback that young Luffy ate the Gum Gum fruit, a devil fruit that made him a rubber man, and that he loves pirates because of his mentor relationship with nice pirate Shanks. Luffy and Kobe rode to a marine base in Shellstown to get a map of the Grand Line, the region where the One Piece is rumored to be. Sexy pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro is arrested for beating the crap out of Helmeppo, son of Marine Captain Axe Hand Morgan, but is soon freed from his ground-level crucifixion by Luffy while he's en route to obtain the map. Nami, an orange-haired thief who is also trying to steal the map, ends up helping Luffy steal from Morgan's safe. Zoro then helps them defeat Morgan, and the 3 escape on a ship to the chagrin of Morgan and now old Vice Admiral Garp, while Kobe stays back to enlist with the Marines. Start episode 2, The Man in the Straw Hat. Luffy, Zoro, and Nami are captured by Buggy the Clown, a classic psycho clown and pirate captain, who also wants the map to the Grand Line. To protect it, Luffy decides to swallow the map. Luffy learns that Buggy worked with his childhood idol Shanks, and we learn that Shanks gave Luffy his signature straw hat. Turns out Buggy also ate a devil fruit, giving him chop powers that allow him to sever his limbs at will and float, apparently. Buggy tries to drown Luffy when he refuses to give him the map. Luffy remembers when Shanks saved him from drowning and from a massive sea creature using an unknown power, losing his left arm in the process, which Shanks said was no big deal, but Luffy felt bad about it. Our 3 heroes defeat Buggy by putting all his limbs in boxes and frees his captive audience of townspeople. Then back in Shellstown, Vice Admiral Garp arrests Axe-Hand Morgan in the fallout of Luffy's heist, and bruised ego Helmeppo joins Garp's Marines with Kobe. Our trio sails away, and Nami secretly contacts a mysterious stranger via snail phone, telling them that she has the map. Now, episode 3, Tell No Tales. Needing a ship without a massive leak to get to the Grand Line, the Straw Hat crew goes to Syrup Village in the Gecko Islands. Luffy takes a liking to a ship with a sheep head. but he's told by Usopp, a boy who cried wolf dock worker, that the ship isn't for sale. Nevertheless, Usopp takes a crew to meet the underage shipyard owner and his best friend Kaya, a wealthy, sickly orphan, so they can try to get the ship. Elsewhere, Garp takes a liking to Kobe due to his knot skills, and they play several rounds of Go. Back at the mansion, Luffy and Usopp find out Luffy knew Usopp's father Yasop from Shanks' crew. Kaya's obviously evil butler, Claudor, soon reveals himself as the supposed-to-be dead captain Kuro of the Black Cat Pirates, a sort of Robbie Rotten meets Freddy Krueger Catman with hilarious cat people sidekicks. Plotting a hostile takeover of Kaya's estate, he kills her lawyer, guardian, and sheepman Mary with his finger knives. The Black Cat crew knocks out Zoro without killing him for some reason and dumps him and the dead Mary in a dry well straight out of Batman Begins. Usopp tries to get help, but there are no takers until Kobe and the Marines arrive. Finally, episode 4, the pirates are coming. After failing to climb out of the well despite numerous athletic displays thus far, Zoro flashes back to when he and his childhood frenemy, Quina, promised each other that one of them would become the world's greatest swordsman. Unfortunately, she died in an undisclosed accident, so that sucks. Luckily, after the third flashback or so, he's finally able to climb out. Usopp brings Kobe and the Marines to Kaya's mansion, but Kuro somehow convinces them that he's not obviously devious and hands over an unconscious Luffy who ate poison soup meant for Kaya. A lost Zoro happens upon and rescues Luffy from the Marines before defeating the lesser Black Cat crew soon after. Meanwhile, Luffy battles and eventually defeats a suddenly slow and planless Kuro with his noodle. Kuro flees, and Kaya gives Luffy she gives him the sheep ship, which he names the Going Merry in honor of the sheepman himself. Usopp joins the crew, but not before a kiss from Kaya before he leaves. Garp's Marines closely pursue the Straw Hats upon their departure, and Luffy reveals that Garp is his grandpa.
Wow.
A lot happened.
A lot happened. That was long.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was 4 hours of material.
Yeah, well, that felt like 4 hours to me.
I feel like you can list all the characters' names and it's longer than your typical summary.
No, that's true. My typical summary, I think, is actually only 3 sentences. Actually, I try to keep it to 2, but this one's 3. In a world of piracy and odd powers, driven by dreams and will, a young man sets off to find a historic pirate's treasure and become king of the pirates, all while finding his crew and some other friends along the way. Huh? That's exactly what this is about, Jackie.
Yeah, but you got to mention Axe-Hand Morgan.
No, I don't have to say anything about Axe-Hand Morgan.
What if he had like a
He's
guitar,
one of my least favorite characters.
Like that kind of an axe, like he just shredded on the guitar instead.
Oh, Jackie. You are so... Do you know how cool you are sometimes? There are so many things. I got to talk to you later about this. You don't know anything about what I'm thinking. I can't even say it to you because every word you say makes me want to spoil the entire series.
You can't do it. You got to hold your horses, okay?
I'm holding them, Jackie. I can't.
For them and for me. Okay, the good news is I won't be able to spoil anything that happens after these 4 episodes, all right?
Well, I can spoil the entire series.
You can't. You're not allowed. All right, we're going to move right into some categories, Tyler, and we're going to call this the good, the bad, and the Frankie. No,
Jackie.
Not the Frankie that comes later that I don't even know who that is yet. I know that he exists.
No, we're talking about Frank Sinatra,
We're talking about Sinatra, baby. So that's just a wild card, okay? It's going to be
even though Frank Sinatra is pretty super.
Oh, he is. We're going to do 5 good things, 5 bad things.
He doesn't get that, folks. He doesn't understand.
5 wild card things, all right? So, here's the deal. We're going to start with nothing but the best. These are the best 5 parts that we each identified. Now, here's the rules, Tyler. We're going to go from 5 up to 1. So you're going to start with your 5th best. We're going to move up in priority. And if I or you say a topic that the other one has higher, we'll hit it when basically when we get to that part of the list. So if there's crossover, we can talk about it when we get there if it's higher for another person. Make sense?
Well, good, Jackie. Fine. Then you go with your 5, and then I'll say my 5 then.
Okay. So I'm going to start with number 5. And my number 5 was the Black Cat Pirates. They got some serious Team Rocket energy. And I just,
Oh, they do, Jackie.
when these guys came in, even before I knew they were the Black Cats, I was like, oh, okay. These are the kind of villains that I kind of enjoy. They're kind of slightly hapless. They're obviously evil. You got the kind of, the heavy-set British guy and, the Helena Bonham Carter type girl, and then you got, I mean, come on. I'll talk a lot more about Kuro in another section, but I mean, the most obviously evil, like the minute you see him, it's like, how could anyone think? Not only that, but he desperately needs collar stays. I mean, there's so much going on. But with the Black Cats,
I like his collars, Jackie. I like them.
Yeah, they
make
it's a
you
style.
know.
But I mean, it's like
it lets you know
getting dangerously close.
He's devious.
To his nose.
It's like, oh, I know I'm devious.
Yeah, he's like slightly, he's a little buttoned up, but he's just got that little. He also had those gold things on his suit that was like kind of just looked like a pile of excrement. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. What was the symbology of that?
It's just what is like. It's his clothes.
It's just
That's
what he does.
Yeah, it's his. Yeah.
When the Black Cat crew came in, and especially later when they donned their actual outfits, I mean, just some of the best costume work in the entire thing, right? Especially the gentleman do you have the name on the tip of your tongue of the man who wears basically, it's like Batman meets
Phantom of the Opera, Butchie.
Yeah, but without a shirt.
Yeah, Butchie.
Okay, his name Butchie.
The character Butchie. I don't know
something. Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's if you were to say it correctly, it's Bucci, I suppose, but Butchie.
So I mean, when these people enter, I was just expecting more cats to be coming out of the woodwork. Okay, I was in my mind hearing Andrew Lloyd Webber music. I was waiting for Rumpelteazer and Skimbleshanks and Mr. Mistopheles. Okay,
it's funny you say that, Jackie, because in the original anime and in the manga, there are more Black Cat pirates, Jackie. There are more of them.
You have to imagine. And also, tough one for old axe hand Morgan, okay? One of the things he says in the first episode is, oh, yeah, I dismantled the Black Cat pirates, and I took away that Kuro guy with his 1,000 plans. And it's like, he's just been being a butler for 3 years playing the long game. That's all that's been happening.
Oops. Sorry, axe hand. Turns out you're also incompetent as well as sort of morally bankrupt.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but we'll hit more of them later. So that's my number 5, the Black Cat team and their Team Rocket energy.
Jackie, it's funny. You gave a Team Rocket energy. I also picked a crew, but mine is the Red Hair Pirates crew when they fight the Mountain Bandits after,
So that was the guy who came to the bar. So he was a mountain guy.
Yeah, mountain bandit. Yep.
Okay.
That's what he was.
So that wasn't explicit in the text, but that's just something that you know from your experience.
Oh, sorry. That's my bad. Anyway, the bandit group that comes into the bar that eventually threatens Luffy, and then you have that series of moves where you see like Lucky Roo, the guy with the turkey leg, shoots the gun. Yasop does the cool moves, all that stuff. Couple of things. It shows off one of the inspirational crews that you are going to learn more about down the line. All of those characters play titular roles later on in the manga and the anime. And you also find out Luffy's sort of inspiration and why he is the way that he is. He's modeling most of his morality off of this guy Shanks, who won't fight when you hurt him, but he will fight if you threaten somebody he loves. And that's a very interesting, it's a fun play on what pirates do, because generally you would assume that pirates pillage, plunder, they come in, take what they want. But that's not what these red-haired pirates do, and that's not what Luffy does. And it sort of gives that it gives that inspiration. It shows you where we're gonna go, and hopefully where Luffy can overcome.
Yeah,
maybe. Who knows?
And so we got that. So basically, just to describe that scene a little bit more, you got Dime Store Khal Drogo, the leader of the bandits, who's coming in, and he's like, "Hey, you got whiskey? Guess what? This whiskey sucks. I'm gonna, clean it up." And Shanks is like, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" And Luffy's like, "Hey, why you do that? Why you
that's
let
the
him do
first
that?
one.
You're a coward."
It's when they come back. It's the second time, Jackie.
So you're
it's
talking
the second
specifically.
time.
I thought you were just talking generally about the red hairs. So
No. The
specifically
second
about
time when they fight
when he comes
them.
back and he's
And he's
threatening
like,
Luffy,
"Don't-"
and he's like, "Hey,
Yeah, he's like,
I'm
"Don't
about
do
to make
that.
a mess with his
Hey."
kid all over the place." And he's like,
Yeah, and he says no, and then he
Yeah.
gets away with Luffy. But that's not the scene that I
And then
like
they
the
get
most. I don't
busy.
care for the I don't care for the arm getting bitten off portion.
"Oh,
But
that was my favorite." No, it wasn't.
yeah, well, there's a reason for that too that I don't want to talk about. Anyway,
Chekhov's
we
arm.
could keep going. Chekhov's kind of.
There's like Chekhov's everything in this series, I believe.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So that was your number
Yeah.
5. Was the Red
Hair Crew fight with the Mountain Bandits, Jackie.
Great. Okay, my number 4 has to do with the Straw Hat Crew. Okay, you got
Okay,
anything just
Jackie.
broadly about the Straw Hats?
I mean, yeah, I have some of the intro scenes as my best parts.
Mine is more just general. I think one of the best parts about this, and my number 4, is that the Straw Hat Crew works. Okay.
Oh,
The
yeah.
chemistry, anytime they're together in their various different combinations, it works. And I think that's really critical to make this thing watchable and to have it make sense, especially when you're basically taking this anime that you can try to have the same energy as the animated version, but you will have to inevitably basically have more dialogue and less of the types of action that you will have in the animated version, just as the transition from the animated to the live action. So I think getting that correctly, I think that's one thing that from a casting perspective works really well. So Nami, especially Nami, Zoro, and Luffy, we have a lot less time with Usopp, so we'll see how that develops, but I have a good feeling about it. And there are just some good moments with the Straw Hat Crew. One of my favorite moments was when Nami kind of explains the world that we're in, and she draws with chalk. Here's the deal. You got the North Blue, the South Blue, the East and the West. You got the red line, and then you got the Grand Line. And it's like, okay, well, that gives me some bearings on what's happening. I like, that they're kind of at odds, but then they have these moments where they can come together and work as a team. Oh, no. You disappeared for a second,
I'm
Tyler.
back.
I thought that you were gone
just for
forever.
a second?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's actually really good because my Wi-Fi went out for more than a second.
Oh, well, I could see you.
I was scrambling.
Maybe you was
that's
just
good.
Frozen a little bit, but I kept going, so that's the good news.
That's perfect. Nobody
So-
would have ever known.
No. But here's the deal, okay? I just like the chemistry. They have good moments.
I do too,
We'll talk about a
Jackie.
lot of some, I think what's cool about the show is a lot of the character moments and the relationships come out in the fights. And we'll have a whole section where we talk about the fights to come. But that's my number 4, the Straw Hat Crew chemistry. So what is your number 4?
Well, Jackie, I was picking specific scenes and stuff like that. So my favorite scene, the 4th, is the Helmeppo naked sword scene, where he has stolen Zoro's sword and he is posing with it, and then he gets walked in on by Zoro and is put in his place very quickly. That's not exactly what happens in the anime. However, boy, was it funny to see in the live action. And it really solidifies Helmeppo's character as somebody who's full of himself, but when push comes to shove, can't walk the walk. You know what I mean? He talks the talk,
When he thinks he has
But
the
when
upper hand,
Zorro's
he's
in the
very
room-
confident. But yeah, the minute that Zorro's not on the crucifix, he loses his confidence, let's say.
And Jackie, I don't want to give away, but Helmeppo and Kobe work together throughout the series for much longer. And to have Helmeppo's character be talk the talk and never walk the walk, and Kobe's, I believe, from the start has always been walk the walk, but too afraid to ever say anything. It's a perfect little foil for one another, and down the line, their teamwork will come into play.
They're an odd couple.
They're an odd couple, but not down the line in this series, unfortunately, folks. You're going to have to wait until at least season 4, probably.
There you go. Hopefully we'll get it.
Oh, we
Now,
better.
all right, that's number 4. My number 3, the weird unexplained creatures. You got that strange messenger-type bird in the very beginning. You got the
That's called a news coup.
A news coup?
Yeah,
A news coup.
that's a news coup. Yeah.
What's,
Big News
do they have
Morgans.
other types of coup? Or is it just the news coup?
No. Well, there's technically coups.
Why wouldn't you just call it a coup if it's just a news coup?
Well, it's a news coup. Well, there's a different kind of coup. It's spelled different.
It's spelled different.
Well, yeah, no, coup, I believe, is spelled COO for the bird, but like the other coup that I'm thinking of is spelled COUP.
Well, you're talking about like the overthrow of a government?
Well, attempted coups.
Okay, but you're telling me that there's no other bird that is signified as a coup, so they have the news coup, but they could just call him a coup because there's no other
Yes.
types of coup.
That is what I am saying to you, yes.
Okay, the news coup. So that's one of them. The other ones that I wrote down, the unexplained snail phones. What's the name of that?
Transponder snail, Jackie.
Okay, they should have just went with snail phone. That's much, more direct and to the point.
They're not all
How
phones,
does that technology
Jackie.
work, Tyler, with the snail phones?
It's like phones. It's like regular phones. They
What
have
do you mean
electricity.
It's like phones? They've got like a 5G card, and
They've got electricity, yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
like,
they're on a boat. They got radio.
Yeah, it's like radio waves and stuff, yeah.
So what does a snail do that they couldn't do with like technology? Why is the snail critical
It's an amalgamation of technology and snail. They are both. They have both.
But why hasn't anybody cracked the code on how to do it without a snail?
Why would you not want the snail, Jackie?
Well, is the snail happy doing that? The snail just constantly going in people's ears and people are okay with that?
Well, that's not all they do. Some transponder snails also, like, they do TV stuff. And then they sometimes, like, will be cameras, too.
So
they do a lot of stuff.
They talk?
I mean...
They got, like, their own call waiting?
I don't know. I don't think they've... I mean, they go peru, peru, peru. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about the snails later.
All right.
Because
I don't want to
actually
take too much time on the snail phones, so I'll just
I'm going to take some more time on it later.
So Mary, the sheep man, okay, nobody talks about it, but he's just a sheep man. I didn't know at first if he was
It's a ram,
half
Jackie.
sheep, half man, or
He's
if
not
he
a
was
sheep.
just dressed as a sheep.
Sheep, he has horns, Jackie. He's a ram.
It's a kind of sheep, Tyler. It's a mountain sheep.
Yeah, I know, but he's a ram.
But
don't call him a sheep.
What does he ram? He didn't ram nothing. He
didn't
just
ram
kind of
nothing,
sat
but
there
he-
and died like a, we'll maybe get into that one later.
Well, that's
but
not
Mary the
very
sheep
nice.
man. We got the fishmen, okay? They come in, nice fishmen. Little introduction. Didn't get to spend too much time with them, but he's kind of being set up as the heavy, right?
Oh, yeah, Jackie.
And then we got the giant eel that kind of looks like King K. Rool from, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
They call even though they don't say, he actually, that serpent has like a specific name, but he is like, they say the words sea beasts. I forget in what context. I think she's saying you could eat as much as a sea beast. It's something, they're saying it to Luffy. The point is, that's what that big eel is. There are more of those things, just not here now.
Yeah. So, that's what I had. The weird, unexplained creatures. They just kind of exist. Yeah. Nobody talks about, it's not weird to them. It's just the world that we're in. And I like it.
Magical world. Yep.
All right. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Nami's intro, Jackie. I think Nami's intro is one of the best scenes in these first 4 episodes. You're talking about the old
switcheroo.
The switcheroo, yeah, where she... First of all, it shows off Emily Rudd's acting. She does a very good job with the seeming feint to grabbing the sheep, pulling it over her little box, convincing the pirates that she has something worth taking, the old switcheroo, confidence as she waves off. It sets her up as cat burglar Nami. I also want to mention that the costume that she's in, they did a lot of stuff in this show for people like me, and that costume is one of the original, like Oda's original sketches of what Nami would have been, like before she was conceived as Nami. In this, she had like one bionic arm and like a big axe and something, and she was a completely different character, but with this outfit. And then later turns into Nami, becomes part of the One Piece thing, and they just had so much attention to detail, and it was beautiful, Jackie. A beautiful opening for Emily Rudd and the character of Nami.
Yeah, it was a good intro. For a second, I thought we were getting a Pokemon crossover. I thought it was Misty, Tyler. I was like,
Jackie,
hey,
it's not
why don't
Misty.
you just call in Starmie, okay? Why are you dealing with these guys when you got your star Pokemon come in and just, give it to them?
You know she would throw that Pokeball and Psyduck would come out. Anyway,
that's true.
And you'd be like, shy, and you'd be like, oh well.
I'm telling you, get it together, One Piece and Pokemon people. The crossover, we all need it.
Oh, it better happen.
All right, so that was your number 3?
Number 3, Jackie.
Okay. My number 2, and we've already talked about this a little bit with your scene, but I just I had to kind of just get a little family unit in here at number 2. I have both Axe-Hand Morgan and Helmeppo, 2 of my favorite characters in the entire 4-episode span. And yes, I wrote down the butt cheeks. That was actually the nudity that we got in the TV-14 warning. Guess what? It's male butt cheeks. Gotta love it.
Hooray!
That's 2 weeks in a row, Tyler. We just watched
what I was waiting
last
for.
week. We got the full frontal from Jude Law. Now we're getting the full backside from Helmeppo here.
I hear they're calling him Nude Law now.
That's true.
Well, at least you started it, and now I'm going to keep it going.
It's okay. I like it. It's good branding.
I love it.
Axe-Hand Morgan had massive Dolph Lundgren energy, okay?
Absolutely, Jackie.
I was trying to figure out, what this was reminding me of. That was it. But he also has this, there's something about South African actors and just like South African villains that's just slightly more sinister. Maybe it's because of the recent history. I'm not going to go into all that. But having this blonde, Dolph Lundgren, South African zebra pants guy with cutoffs and a metal jaw. I just thought they nailed that. They nailed the Axe-Hand Morgan, and they nailed Helmeppo. The guy who's Helmeppo, from the second you see him, you're like, oh, I know.
I hate that guy.
I hate that guy. This is like an 80s villain on steroids. He's got like the double-breasted suit. And he's just the way that he smiles and laughs and his face and the fact that he runs into the rice ball girl and smashes it. I mean, you just hate him from the minute that he's there. But you also are glad that he doesn't immediately die because, we're going to have a lot of fun with this guy sticking around and just being part of the mix for a while, I think.
And I got to tell you, Jackie, massive redemption for Helmeppo.
Oh, well.
If you love Helmeppo, boy, the manga does him well, Jackie.
And then just a couple other things I have written here. I love how Axe-Hand Morgan, there's like the giant dictator, portrait of him when you're in the yard in the Marine base.
I was going to mention that while you were saying about the blonde.
But also when Garp is
really
in his office, he's got the snail with the metal jaw. And then he's also got like the Louvre type French Revolution paintings of himself. Just a lot of details that even if those might be things directly from the anime, but even if they're not, they're just really funny. You can kind of look in the background of a lot of these scenes and, just find funny things and interesting things to look at from a design perspective.
The snails with the faces of the people that they belong to is a feature of the anime, but it's actually even funnier than that. It's like whoever voice is coming out of the snail is what the snail looks like at the time.
So it's like some kind of a weird FaceTime.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Interesting. So
anyway,
maybe you should have mentioned that when I was asking why would you have a snail. That makes a lot more sense to me now if they're doing the faces.
Yeah, but that's not even like really. That's not it's a bit in the show, I think. I don't even think that it's not like, it's
all right.
What they were designed for.
What's your number 2, Tyler?
My number 2. This is a very niche thing, Jackie. It is sailing the Mary for the first time, and there's a reason for it. It's the sound design. It is the first time in the series that they play an orchestrated version of the original anime intro music for the show.
Even I caught that.
Yeah, and for people like me who know a little bit about the Going Merry, and they mention things in these episodes where the ship is a part of your crew, there's a whole thing. For them to play that song the first time, Sailing the Mary, with Nami, Zoro, Usopp, Luffy all in tow with the Mary, some may say the original 5 crew members, that is a defining moment for people who cherish the series, and I think they did very well with that. I think it really was impactful the way that they did it. And I have no notes. The Going Merry was also, they built out a lot of the ships. I don't know if it is seaworthy necessarily, but I know that the sets are fully built, and when they're on the ship, it looks so good. It looks so good. It reminds me of the Pirates of the Caribbean films, which I also fell in love with when I was younger.
Yeah, I think a lot of the world building is really good. There's maybe a couple times where, it's like, they're clearly in a studio, but there's other times when it's like, are they or aren't they? And they make some good use, I think, of actually being outdoors at times. So I appreciated that it's not a 100% green screen situation. They mix and match, and there's a lot of practical stuff happening mixed in with the digital effects that they need to have, just because, again, you got these anime, how do you approach some of this stuff? You got to kind of decide when you're going to make it a little bit more true to life and when you're going to go and reach for something fantastical. All right. Number 1 for me is Buggy the Clown. Okay. Buggy the Clown, phenomenal. He got the red powder that puts everybody to sleep. They got the big circus reveal when they're in the box and they think they might have been captured by the Marines. The box opens up and all of a sudden they're in the middle of a 3-ring circus. Now, Buggy, when he comes in, the things that came to mind for me is he's like a mixture of Jim Carrey's Grinch and Heath Ledger's Joker. So this actor that is being Buggy, I've seen him in 1 or 2 other things, but the thing that I really remember him from was, I believe it was like season 5 or 6 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So coming from that, and him being honestly one of my least favorite characters in that show that I barely remember any of, this, really made me respect his ability to just kind of dial it up a little bit. It had to be a lot of fun to just kind of take everything... because all of his stuff was kind of like either to this extreme or that extreme. There was a lot of, rises and falls with the way that he was doing the lines. Some things that I loved, the whole everybody knows who you are, and he's hung up on him saying nose.
Nose.
That is, kind of an old joke, but very funny the way that they executed it. I liked when he tried to say that he was, he said axe hand moron. And then he was like waiting for laughter and nobody laughed.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Oh, yeah.
And then, he has some important things that he's saying to try to get in Luffy's head. He's saying that, he knew Shanks and Shanks betrayed him. So immediately, for me, not really knowing what's happening, I'm wondering, is he being for real? What's this backstory with Buggy? I'd love to see Buggy out of makeup with a giant, perfectly spherical nose, because that's, what I'm trying to imagine in my head.
No, Jackie, that's his real nose. It color.
Looks, when you see it from the bottom, you can tell that it's attached. It's hard to see when it's straight on like that.
That's his nose.
Yeah.
Eventually in the anime and manga, there are flashbacks of Buggy and Shanks together, and he still has the nose, Jackie.
Yeah,
it's there.
I bet he does.
It's his nose.
So then you got the Chop reveal. So this is the only other person I believe we meet in these first 4 episodes, at least, that reveals the devil fruit powers. So that, I had no idea that was going to happen. So I was like, oh, dang. Like, because at first Luffy goes back and he punches his head off, and you're like, oh, that was easy. And then, nope, not easy. And then we'll talk more about that whole battle later. But I also just wanted to shout out probably the funniest part of episode 2, which was the Buggy episode, which is when you've got Nami in a cage and Zoro, who's kind of strapped to that wheel, that kind of circus wheel where people throw the daggers and stuff. The henchman that comes in on the unicycle and just doesn't break eye contact with Zoro as he's kind of wheeling up. I think that was the funniest part for me. So I love Buggy. I love Buggy's crew. I love his captive audience that, someone's telling them when to clap and when to laugh and all that. I thought that was very well done. That's my number 1. What's your number 1?
Yeah. My number 1 is the confrontation with Luffy, Kobe, Helmeppo, and Zoro at the end of the Kuro episode, where Colby's going to take... Luffy's already thrown up. He's gotten up. He's like, I got to go back. Kuro's evil. They're going to kill Kaya, and then they're going to take my crew. I can't let that happen. And Kobe says, no, I have to stop you. I'm a Marine. I made a vow. And I wrote this line down because I think that Inaki did such a good job. He said, Kobe, I know you've got a job to do, but I'm going back to help my friends. So don't try to stop me. And when I watched this series the first time, I remember not liking Luffy's actor. Luffy's always goofy. He's always been goofy. If you've watched the anime, if you read the manga, he's a goofy guy. This actor is acting goofy, and I didn't think it was translating very well until he turns on the serious. And this is the point where I think you believe him for the first time.
And he only does that a couple times in the entire 4-episode stretch. Yeah, there's that time, and then there's when he loses his hat for the first time.
Yeah, the hat thing. Yeah, the hat thing is... but I think this one's more impactful because I am of the opinion that there are... This is controversial. I'm of the opinion that there are 2 main characters of One Piece, and I think that they are Luffy and Kobe. People are like, "Oh, the Straw Hat Crew." No.
Yeah.
If you watch the anime,
makes sense, though, because that's the way they kind of set it up. They're 2 opposing forces that start as kind of friends, on Alvida's ship, and then they go their separate ways, but they keep on intersecting.
And folks, if the one, first of all, I believe the One Piece is real, but in the context of not, because we don't really know yet,
Tyler,
even in the series.
If it's the friends we met along the way, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow.
No. It's not going to be the friends we met along the way. My point is, I believe the One Piece is real. It's a real thing. Doesn't matter. The point is, when the reveal happens, whatever that thing may be, I think that there are 2 people who are going to end up with it. And it is either going to be Luffy or it is going to be Kobe. And those are the people speculate about villains down the line maybe getting it before. But end of the day, the person who has the One Piece, I actually think is gonna be Kobe. But I think Luffy will have it to become king of the pirates, and then eventually... That's just my opinion, folks. Sorry, controversial, but I do think Kobe's gonna wind up with the One Piece.
By the way, I call Kobe Little Beef Boy.
Why?
Kobe Beef.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
So
his
there goes
pink.
Little Beef Boy.
Yeah, a little pink on the.
Yeah, he's
on
like
the hair.
he's sort
Medium
of like
rare.
he's like how do I describe him? He's like if Harry Potter did like fewer push-ups and somehow knew how to tie knots really well.
Yeah.
It's like he's very skilled, but it's like you would think all that time of being on Alvida's ship, number one, it's like he had to have been wearing sunscreen because he's very pale. And then number two, it's like you think that he would just build up, more calluses. I don't know. Kobe, I appreciate, what the thing for me, since I've only seen the first 3 episodes, I like the turn that they did in this live action series with Kobe. I think if you tried to do a 1-to-1 Kobe, it would have been too much from the animated, because he's a lot more expressive with his, frustration, and he's crying all the time. So I like that it was a little bit more internalized and a little bit more just like the opposite of what Luffy was doing at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think a lot of emotions that are translated well in anime are hard to convey live action, but
that's why the hit rate of these shows is so low. But I think this is an example of it being done well at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
They brought it down to some realism.
Let's get now to the demerits. And before we go there, I just wanted to mention one thing that's not really a best part or a worst part, just an observation. I noticed that they used a lot of fisheye lens. Just like a lot. So I don't know if that was trying to mimic, the type of style of certain frames of the anime, and that was just the best way to convey that. But they had a lot of fisheye medium shots and close-up shots on people's faces. So just something I noticed. Not sure if that drew your eye at all.
I noticed the fisheye thing, and I don't know the reason for it, but I did notice what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It is anything where the camera was shifting and focused on a single person, it was pretty much fisheye.
Yeah. All right. So demerits, my number 5. So I noticed that more or less, so we got our 2 devil fruit people. We got Luffy and we got Buggy the Clown. So when they're using their devil fruit powers, for some reason, it seems like their clothes also take on the devil fruit properties. I don't know what was going on with that.
That's so... Oh, my gosh. This is answered. It's literally because if he didn't, he would have to draw everybody naked. That is the answer that he...
I know that this is the practical answer. It's kind of the same thing as, why don't the pants get ripped off when Hulk's out?
Yeah,
why is he keep his little pants on?
Yep.
But I mean, I think you could maybe convince me that Luffy's straw hat,
I mean, there's more. Okay, so I don't want to get into devil fruit lore with you right now, Jackie. But the point, it's more than just. He excuses it later on. It's like he explains that once you become a powerful devil fruit user, there are 3 types of devil fruits. I'm not going to say what they are because I'm going to give away too much. But the point is that your devil fruit, if you get good with it and powerful enough, it starts to affect things beyond you, right?
Yeah.
So,
and,
so Buggy could chop other things, not just himself.
Yeah. But that was the biggest one for me was when Luffy punches out like a circular part of his stomach, and then it goes right back in, and his shirt is totally fine. Yeah. So anyway,
very, very Kung Pao enter the fist where.
Yeah. So that was my number 5. What's your number 5?
My number 5 again, folks. I'm coming at this from having seen a lot of this content. There are little nitpicky things that bother me that they could have easily done. And I didn't intend on doing this. Jackie, I am going to play a few soundboard sounds. Now, only 2, and there's no way we're gonna get hit with because it's. But
if you're a sheep man lawyer, just stop listening right now. Okay?
Sheep man lawyer, Mary, don't listen to this. The transponder snails ring a very specific way in the anime. And when they were ringing, they sounded like proo, 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 right? Proo, proo, almost sounded like. This is what they sound like in the anime.
Pere, 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 pere. Pere, 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 pere. Pere, 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 pere.
So,
and then when they answer, and then when you pick up the phone, it goes,
yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Fine, don't give me the peru perus. Fine.
Just reminds me of Nando's Peri Peri Chicken.
You're going to tell me you're going to pick up the phone and you're not going to give me the gotcha? I can't stand for that. You spend so much there are wanted posters for characters that the anime or that live action might not even get to, right? You've created character models and posted wanted posters in the background of characters we're probably never going to see in the live action because of delays. And you're telling me you're not going to give me the gotcha? You're telling me you're not going to give me the gotcha? You're not gonna. I can't believe it. I was so furious when I saw that the first time, and I know that is meaningless to most people, but my brain, I almost turned it off. I was like, no, they have to say gotcha.
So one last thing because this is probably the last we'll talk about, the transponder snails, is what was the deal with Nami? She had the little wrist version. How does the code work? What does the code do that she had to enter? It was like a PIN number that she had to do to activate it. What's the mechanics of that?
To be honest with you, I don't remember that being in the anime. I think the dial on it is something that they added in so you could assume that they were calling, but generally they just
was that it? Was it
somebody? They're calling a specific person.
Enter a number?
No, not generally. I think the point was.
See, I thought it might have been a PIN number, like a code to activate it or something.
No, you don't need to activate them. I think it was supposed to be dialing.
Okay,
but generally you don't have to dial.
Walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
So these are not like walkie-talkies. These are like cell phones, essentially.
No, they're like transponder snails.
All right. Let's move on to the number 4 demerit. My number 4, my guy Mary. Oh, Mary went out sad, Tyler. It was.
Jackie. That's my number 3.
That's your number 3. So let's talk about it when we get there. Why don't you go with your number 4?
My number 4. Okay. This is more specific. There's a dog. I'm so sorry. At the end of one of the episodes, there's a dog that runs by. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's when the villagers of Orange Village are giving the captive audience, the guy with the hair, the mayor guy, is giving them the stuff.
The Quaker Oats man.
Yeah, Quaker Oats man. He's giving them, or trying to give them, some supplies to leave.
Sure. And I was like,
Luffy's
like, nah, I'm good. And I'm like, you got to be joking. And then look,
there's a dog at his feet when that scene happens.
Okay.
The dog's name is Shushu.
Shushu.
Okay? And I know that this is a complaint about side story material that is in the manga and the anime that they probably couldn't have fit into this. Shushu's story is about a dog that owner owns a pet store. Mm-hmm. And one day the owner leaves and he's like, Shushu, watch the store for me. And then he never comes back.
Oof.
And then Shushu stays in front of the store and doesn't let anything ever happen to the store. And then Luffy meets this dog, And it's like, oh, Luffy immediately Luffy's got this thing with animals. I don't want to talk, like, they don't talk about it much in the live action, but he understands people. He has a good, even with animals, he kind of gets them. The point is, he understands what this dog is doing. They make a little bit of a connection. He's like, you're a good dog. I like you. And then the dog has an understanding with him, and all of the people originally in Orange Village think that all pirates are bad because of Buggy. So when the Straw Hats are there, it's this conflict of, oh, they're pirates, they must be bad, let's get them out. And then Luffy meets this dog, whatever, the dog, him, get along. Eventually, the dog, who everybody knows in town because this dog just sits in front of this store all the time, stands up for Luffy when they're running away after there's all this confusion about the pirates, and the townspeople are like, oh, we should trust the Straw Hat pirates. And I'm not saying that you need to bring Shushu in, but I am saying that there are these side stories that I think could be put into the live action, even though they're not integral to the plot. I think you should put some of those in. You already have our run times with these episodes. I understand that it might be like, but part of the spirit of One Piece are these small little characters that are then blown up later. Like, you don't even know this dog is going to be involved later. And then at the end of this arc, the dog is the reason that the townsfolk trust the pirates. And again, not saying it's a necessary thing, but things like that in the story that serve to show the juxtaposition between what the world sees as pirates and what the Straw Hats actually are, I think is necessary and will be more necessary throughout the series. So I think we need more Shushu representation, that meaning more of those side, not necessarily directly fights or big bads or evil guys, but those side stories that, gotcha fans interested in the first place.
Well, this when the series was originally picked up, Netflix bought 10 episodes, and somewhere along the line that decreased, so that just might have been one of those things that they're like, yeah, let's cut this. Not only will we save the budget on animal handlers, but also, it's not necessarily critical to getting us from point A to point B. But that's kind of the calculus that they're going to need to make just to get through the amount of story of what they will. But
I really love that dog, Jackie.
Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't you love Shushu? Okay?
He's good.
All right, so that was your number 4. Let's go.
What's your number 3, Jackie?
Let's go to my number 3, and let's talk about Gold Roger. All right? So we start... it starts kind of similar to how the anime starts. Kind of, if I'm not mistaken, every time in the anime, in the intro, they kind of go over this whole Gold Roger piece of, he says what he says, and then it's the birth of the era of pirates and all of that stuff. Yeah. So what we get in the beginning of, this is the first episode, the first thing that happens, you hear the voice of Ian McShane narrating, telling us that, basically you got Gold Roger over here, and you're taken into that, what's it called, Logue Town or whatever.
Logue Town, Jackie.
Logue Town. And then basically you're in this kind of massive square that reminds me of like a St. Mark's Square in Venice, or even, when the Pope comes out. It's like that level of an insanely large crowd. And then you got Gold Roger on top of this very high platform with Garp and his 2 like Swiss guard guys with their big halberds about to stab him. Now there's so much that happens here that is just kind of head scratching for me. Number 1, how did Gold Roger hear the person in the crowd that's like, hey, Gold Roger, where's your treasure? I mean, he's way up above there, and there's like a sea of people down below. So the fact that he could pick that out, and then after that, the fact that anyone heard what he was saying more or less under his breath, like everyone in this massive, like thousands upon thousands of people, how are they hearing what he's just saying at a normal speaking volume? It's not like he had a microphone or some kind of a snail device.
And he didn't cast thaumaturgy, Jackie.
He didn't do
that
any of that.
That was a D&D joke, sorry. We can go.
He didn't cast any spells. He's just a regular guy, and he wasn't even talking loud, is my point. So you're telling me that he's up there, he says it, and the minute he says it, everybody in this massive sea of people reacts in real time. It's like, oh no, we got to go find the One Piece now.
Yep.
I just think that I just, maybe.
No, you're right. They couldn't hear him.
Maybe what we're seeing isn't literally what happened, but is just kind of a projection of like.
No, that's literally what happened. Nope, that's what happened.
And so one more point on this. It's a massive cell phone by Garp. Garp is supposed to be this hero, this massive genius Marine that catches Gold Roger, but he lets him kick off this age of pirates by telling all these people where to find his treasure. I mean, what is Garp
Jackie,
doing? Why doesn't he do this execution behind closed doors or put a muzzle on him? Why doesn't Garp just put something over this guy's mouth?
Jackie, because sometimes a Marine's idea of justice is different than the world government's idea of justice, Jackie. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes you have to make your own justice, Jackie.
It's like he lets him tell all these people, go find my treasure, inspiring, who knows, 1 million pirates? I don't know what the number's going to be. But basically, all these people are now pirates that Garp has to now deal with. It's in a way, he's almost creating his own. He's like, giving himself a job for the years and years to come. So maybe it's not so dumb on Garp's part. But if his point is to eradicate the pirates, he basically is the #1 pirate creator of all time, Garp. So,
Isn't that something, Jackie?
I think it is. And I'm
Isn't
telling
that
you,
something?
there's just a big problem with this whole situation. That's my number 3.
Well, Jackie, since we have a shared demerit
let's
in
talk about our
different
guy, Mary.
order, Mary never should have died. Here's another thing. Spoiler, he's not dead in the manga and the anime.
You're joking.
No, he's not. He's still alive.
You're telling me that the live-action One Piece people decided, hey, we're going to introduce this very lovely sheep man, ram gentleman, and we're going to, he's going to be super non-problematic and helpful. He's got, a high-paying, nice job, and he's, taking care of this lovely, girl. And then we're just going to stab him with 5 finger knives in the chest? And throw him down a well?
Yep.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody ever retrieves the body, Tyler. He's still down there.
No one ever gets him. He's still down there, Jackie. He's still there. And you want to know what's worse, Jackie? In the anime and the manga, the Going Merry is like his ship. It's like, the parents owned the shipyard, but the Going Merry was like what Mary designed, and like it was
clearly it's got his friggin' face on it.
Right. And like that's another thing about it's like the Mary death, along with the fact that they decide to name the Going Merry after Mary.
It didn't hit in the live action, Tyler.
No, it didn't.
Hit because they immediately moved on too. Luffy was like, "Hey, we're gonna name the ship after Mary." Woo! It's like,
we're gonna dance about it now and throw my hat.
Now, can we maybe pour something into the sea, or maybe go get his body out of the well and bury it?
Give me some sort of emotion other than woo, Mary. Oh my God, he took care of this girl.
Everybody can celebrate except for Mary, who's dead and is never coming back.
Yeah,
they did him dirty.
They did. I had a real problem when I saw that the first time. I understand, ultimately why they do it, because, he comes back, but it's, in weird flashbacks where he's just like, I'm still your butler, and it's like he doesn't need to be there, but unnecessary to kill the man. You didn't need to kill Mary.
Yeah.
He was so good to me, and us, and everyone.
And also, I mean, this kind of goes in with my number 2, so I'll just kind of transition into my number 2 demerit, which is about Kuro. Okay?
Oh, a Kuro demerit.
So Kuro, I mean, he decisively decides to just, kill Mary by 5 fingers through the back, into the heart, dead Mary. So he's very decisive in that case. But, I mean, he was flying too close to the sun as something as time went on. Because, okay, at least to our eyes as the audience, it appears that he is able to just move at the speed of light. All right? He just, you blink, he's over here, he's over here, he's over there. Until all of a sudden, he's not doing that anymore. And he's just like fighting at normal speed with Luffy. So he's fast, then he's not fast. He's talking to himself all the time at the end. And he does something where he's like, "Oh, Kaya, come out here." And it's like, when has anyone ever talked like that? And have you been like, "Oh, I'm going to go out there for sure"? It's like, why don't you just go take care of business and stop, giving him a chance to, locate you? And he's, dragging his claws on all the Oh, gotta beep that one out, Tyler. But he's dragging, he's just making a lot of noise, and he's been playing this long game for 3 years, and then all of a sudden he's just like, yeah, I'm all the way bad, and also I'm not going to be sneaky at all. Here's another thing. What's with the finger blades? Are those, at first I thought it was a serious Wolverine situation where they were coming out of his hands, but are those just gloves?
Yeah, they're gloves. Yeah.
So, I mean, how does that work with the balance and the weight? I mean, that's just...
how does Zoro carry a third sword in his mouth?
I can believe that more because if you've got a balance point that's in the hilt of the blade, that it makes more sense to me than somebody with finger gloves, that have the blades. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. Also, when the Marines come to the door and they're, checking his gloves, it's like, if they're just gloves, he can be wearing different gloves. How does that prove that he's not? That's crazy.
No, I thought that was silly too. But there's other things about, I like Kuro's character. The thing, how he lifts his glasses like that all the time is mentioned in the anime and the manga. It's because he used to just wear the blades on his hands all the time. Yeah, he's used to them, so he has to lift them like that. There's a lot of different things.
He's like one of those ladies with, really long nails, and you just have to learn how to do stuff differently.
And he constantly does it. But that's also part of, the storytelling about how he never forgot that he was a pirate, because even though he's been a butler for however long, he's still been pushing his glasses up the same way, whatever. That's a whole big thing. And the other thing about the speed feat that he has, how he can move.
Yeah, I thought for sure it was going to be a devil fruit thing, by the way.
No.
But
no.
That's the first person we've seen that just has this extraordinary capability, and it's not devil fruit, so that kind of confused me.
Well, you're going to have more of that too, Jackie. There's going to be more of that. It's going to confuse you, and it's going to be okay. We're going to get through it. But they didn't explain it very well, I think, in the live action. They gave it maybe a second. They gave him a line. Luffy got a line. He's like, I'm done talking, now I'm listening.
Yeah, and we can talk about that in the battle
anime, section. Right. He's focusing on his movements. So instead of trying to, he knows he's moving quickly. He can't see where he's going. He's like, well, I'm going to track where he goes. Yeah. I'm going to aim where he's going rather than where I think he's going to be rather than whatever. So that's how he ends up beating him. He ends up grabbing him and then doing the same thing with the headbutt. Yeah. But it's more well explained that he's predicting his movements rather than just hitting him by listening to where he is in the room.
Yeah. So just a couple other quick points, then we can move on. He's so obviously evil. I mean, from the moment you see him, there's not a moment that goes by that you're like, this guy is good.
That's how it is in the anime,
too. The fact that Kaya
too.
Can't see it at all. The fact that Kaya is eating and drinking blue stuff and not realizing that it's like poison. The fact that Kuro looks like he stole all the hair. Is that what happened? Was he a pirate that stole all the hair gel in the entire world?
One would
Because, I mean,
think
that's
no.
like hard as a rock on top. I mean, I put a lot of product in my hair, but it's nothing
About
like
a quarter
what
off of
Coro
that
was
thing.
doing. Oh, I mean, that's why I said do you know the reference of Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town?
Yeah, I know Robbie Rotten.
Okay.
Rest in peace,
So,
Jackie.
So if you look, I mean, sure, but listen, if you look up Robbie Rotten,
yeah.
that's immediately what came to my mind when I saw this Coro guy. He also looked like he might have been in the Third Reich to a degree. It was mainly the glasses, I think, and just his visage. All right, Tyler, what's your 2?
My number 2 is Garp and Kobe playing Go.
Oof. Okay, what's wrong with that?
Well, first of all, it's another one of those things that just doesn't happen. Could have done it with a training montage about him doing stuff. I understand that he's like, this is an interesting way to convey that Garp is taking somebody under his wing and training him. Cool. Awesome. Go, not the choice.
Do they play Go
Here.
at all in One Piece?
No. That's not
kinda
even the
weird.
point. And if you're a real head out there, shout out Dawn Dusk channel, shout out Lupin Art. They probably should have been playing Othello. Huh? We can move on, Jackie.
All right, so you didn't like that they were playing Go. They
Didn't like that we're playing
if they
Go.
were going to take
Should
a
have been
real
playing something else.
game, they could have, brought in
I also
Monopoly or
think they
something.
should have just done like a training montage with Garp and Kobe. I thought that would have been better. Just like I don't know. I want to see Kobe punch some stuff.
Yeah, I think that actor needs to get into the gym before they're doing that type of a montage.
It's about Jackie. Always going to happen.
Well, I'll believe it when I see it. I'd love to see this little wheatgrass child, get a little bit of poundage.
You should see Alvita for season 2, Jackie.
I know what. Yeah. I mean, we haven't talked about Alvita, and she didn't quite make my list of demerits, but she would have been more on the demerit side for me.
Yeah.
Just while we mention it, especially since those were I've seen that first episode, and to me, she was too understated. She should have. I almost think they should have done more prosthetics, and she should have been a little bit more boisterous. Maybe. I also thought that they could have cast a man in drag in that part, and it might have read
Interesting.
more like what
like a hairspray kind of.
I hate to take jobs away from women, but that's the first thing that I thought.
It's actually not a bad idea, but I gotta tell, I am gonna spoil something.
Well, I know that
Sorry.
she loses a lot of weight because
Yeah, well,
I was
she-
Wikipediaing.
Right, she gets so Alvita later on in the series gains a devil fruit power, and I don't remember what it's called specifically. It might be the slick fruit, but it makes her like slick and thin, and so yeah, you could have cast a man in drag, but ultimately
Yeah.
you would then need to recast.
See, that was the surprise. Yeah, and obviously when I first thought that, I didn't know that. But then when I went to
Yeah.
the actress's Wikipedia page, I was like, oh, she's not heavy set really at all. So good on her for gaining so much weight and then
Yeah.
dropping it all just for this part.
Yeah,
She was in Sex Lives of College Girls and a couple other shows. All right, but that's not even on my board. Let me go to my number 1 demerit, and this is kind of multiple things, but all under one umbrella. Flashbacks.
yeah.
The flashbacks contained probably all of my biggest demerits, and that includes Luffy's disappearing accent. So, child Luffy, no accent.
Yeah.
Adult Luffy, accent, because it's a Mexican actor. I have no problem with that. I actually like Luffy throughout the course of the series, but from a casting perspective, I think that they had to get a child actor that more closely reflected what the adult Luffy was doing. He didn't even really look one-to-one, so I just question why that particular child actor was chosen for Luffy. He also, listen, there's a wide range of, children And a lot of times you're getting something maybe less than paw or what I would want. But right now, you've also got Night of the Seven Kingdoms on HBO with one of probably the best child actor performances that's making a lot of this look really bad. So I just think that they could have done a little better, maybe cast it a tiny bit older just to get a little bit more competence in there. And to make the performance, like, I think that all the stuff with Shanks has really given it 100%. And if you had someone to actually match or reflect the energy that Shanks was giving in more of a true-to-life way, I think that a lot of that would have been some of my favorite stuff. So,
Yeah, Jackie, I got to tell you, the flashbacks are also my number one demerit.
All right. So let me name a couple of other things, and then if you have similar things, we can talk about it. But again, with Child Luffy, him stabbing himself in the eye, that was crazy. I mean,
happens in the thing, too. That's
exactly
real.
like that, where it's just
exactly like
where's
that.
Luffy? He's like, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
And that's where the self-harm comes from in the rating.
Yeah, pretty much. And, well,
so it's a teaching moment, right? It's like, it's not just the scars, it's kind of where they come from. I get that, but, you know, just the entire package of what this kid is doing and then mixed with that just made me laugh. You got Zorro's Batman Begins well thing where he keeps flashing back to the death of his childhood frenemy. And, I mean, they've got to do more in the anime to explain her death, right? Because it is such. They just kind of lay.
There's a reason. There's a reason that they don't.
Are they going to go more into it later? Do you think?
I honestly don't know. I haven't. I got to look something up real quick before I say anything.
Tyler? How is this not the most egregious example of fridging that you could have? Explain it to me.
I don't know what fridging means.
So fridging is when you've got a female character that basically dies exclusively for the journey of the male character. So she only exists to serve Zorro's arc and has really no other purpose.
There's some theories about it, but no, that's pretty much it. And the reason, Jackie, they don't mention it again in the live action, and I wanted to make sure that was the case. The reason they don't mention it is because it's pretty explicit in the manga what happens. The conversation, I think, before it happened was she's like, a woman can never be as strong as a man, right?
Yeah.
That's Kuina's sort of, she decides that there's no point in the vow.
Oh,
Jackie.
no. So you're telling me that she takes her own life?
That is, in fact, what happens.
So it's not an accident. Not
an accident.
So in this, they literally just say, in the live action, they say, off screen, there's been an accident. It's basically like they have this fight between each other. They make a deal, whichever one of us, we're going to train every day until one of us becomes the greatest swordsman. They both seem kind of jazzed about it. And then the next day, Zorro goes out and he's waiting and he's like, hey, where's my friend? And the instructor's like, oh, yeah, there was an accident and she's not around anymore.
Yeah, no, but what really happened is she... Jackie. We'll probably have to bleep that, unfortunately.
I mean, I think we can say it's okay. We talked about self-harm. I mean, Luffy's stabbing himself in the eye with a knife.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about, the social media stuff. But yeah, the flashbacks, Jackie. I just want to build off that. The flashback that hurt me the most was Usopp's flashback, Jackie. I could not... That one is not...
Where he's like, it's good. Okay, Mom. He's going to be back soon. And then she just dies. Just right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think any of the kid actors that I've seen so far, and we haven't seen all of them yet, there are a lot more child actors to come. If I read, the cast,
That's true,
everybody kind of has a younger version. I had no problem with the Zorro actor that they got.
No, he was
It
good.
was just the circumstances. So it was always something. It was either the performance itself or, it's too bad because, I see the reason why these needed to happen, and I assume that they happened a lot of times not where this stuff was inserted in the anime because we had to provide a little bit of background and whatnot and kind of expedite our knowledge of these characters. But, yeah, so we agree on the flashbacks.
Flashbacks.
Yeah, it's
Oof.
and maybe that's something that as they roll on, they'll learn from. Maybe we'll just get less flashbacks in the future. I really wonder though if we do get flashbacks, they're going to have to keep recasting, for these parts. So
Yeah.
I wonder what
We'll
get
find out.
and what accents they'll have. All right.
All right, Jackie. We got to get to the fights.
So this is the top 5 fights. Ain't that a kick in the head? Let's start with number 5. For me, my number 5 battle was the Black Cat battle. So that's when they're all in the mansion. You got Luffy fighting your boy over there. What's his name? Kuro. He's fighting him. And then you got Zoro fighting Bucci and Sham.
Yeah, that's Zoro and Sham is my number one. Zoro, Sham, Bucci is number 1 for me.
That's number 1
and
for you. Okay.
Luffy and Kuro I separated as number 4.
Okay, you separated those. I kind of had them all lumped into one. So let's talk about it when we get to your number 1.
Yeah.
So let's go to my number 4, which is the Alvida night fight on the boat. Did you have that anywhere?
No.
Okay. So the reason why I have this here, it's not necessarily the greatest fight, and it's very short. But what I like about it is that it reveals a lot of, kind of basic information about Luffy, about Kobe, mainly that. So Luffy reveals, his fighting prowess. We don't really know. All that we know about Luffy up to that point is that he is kind of cocky and, a little bit... he's just not a very careful person, right? He comes in and he's like, oh, I'm going to be the Pirate King. I'm a pirate. What's the big deal? He doesn't really, lower his voice in any capacity.
What's the big deal?
He's not good at being quiet at all. He wakes up the entire ship. But then you find out that his level of confidence likely comes from the fact that he's almost impervious to any harm because not only does he have the gum capabilities, but he's also got some serious acrobatic skill. He does like a backflip as she tries to hit him with one of her many maces. And then it also has a great line, "What kind of monster are you?" And he's like, "The stretchy kind."
Oh, yeah, the stretchy kind.
It shows Luffy as, this carefree, cool under pressure guy. And you also get your first finishing move, the gum pistol.
Hey, gotta name your moves.
Yeah, which he says later. So I liked it. I liked the fact that when I was doing my research, this was something that they originally shot at daytime and then they reshot it at night. So I think that was a good choice with all the fire and whatnot. Gave it a nice aesthetic. So that was my number 4. So your number 4 was part of the Black Cat battle.
We skipped my 5, Jackie.
Oh, that was the Black Cat.
Yeah. My 5 is Zoro versus Mr. 7.
Oh, Zoro 7 at 5. Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So that's another short one, and that happens basically right after the Alvida fight.
Yeah, it's Zoro's introduction.
Yeah.
And that is
On
something that
Six's
does
Island.
not happen in the manga or the anime. That is a completely added scene.
Yeah.
That is only ever talked about. So
and they
it was,
also introduced the Renaissance
Baroque works.
weirdos. Yeah, the Baroque.
Yeah, Baroque works.
Baroque works. Or does it?
I mean, they do.
Well,
For a
it didn't
time.
work too good there because he got sliced right in half.
Oh, yeah. And it does a couple of things really well. It shows you who Zoro is. It gives you the 3-sword goofiness. You're like, I mean, it doesn't show you what he uses it for yet, but it shows you that he has 3 swords, shows you that he's good with them, shows you that good enough to be sought out by a group of people, and for him to say no and to just thrash that guy for no reason. It's a good intro for Zoro, who is designed to be like the badass, cool sword guy.
Yeah, and if you don't know about what happens with the third sword, it's a nice teaser because you still don't know at that point. It's like, why has he got this other sword?
Why does he have a third sword?
Clearly, he doesn't need it because he just slices this guy in 2 parts, and then he proceeds to carry his torso around like luggage.
Yeah, big trophy luggage.
Yeah, must have been heavy. They Zorro is sneaky strong. He doesn't look like he should be able to lift like that, but there's a couple of moments where Zorro's just like lifting crazy stuff in a weird way. He's not even like lifting with his legs. He's just kind of like hauling it. So
yeah, that's another character trait of him from the anime and the manga too. He's just absurdly
By the way,
strong.
the actor that plays Zorro, I think he's the son of Sonny Chiba.
Is he really?
Yeah, Hattori Hanzo himself. So talk about
that's so
crazy
cool.
casting. Yeah,
it's insane.
Of course, he's LA based, so grew up in LA, but yeah, crazy. Okay, so that's your number 5.
All right, well then,
what's your number 4?
5? Then? My number 4 is Luffy versus Kuro, but it's for the reasons that we said before. It's like he's doing the fast stuff, and then it's like they don't really explain why. It's still a fun fight though, and then Kuro's my favorite bad guy in the live action. I like Buggy a lot, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying this, but I think Kuro outshines him in these episodes.
Okay, so Kuro. Yeah, it's so the stuff that I've written down about that particularly, Kuro is everywhere. He's trying to sow doubt into Luffy. He actually draws blood on Luffy, which I didn't really understand. Like Luffy takes a bullet, so
bullets are round.
I get it, but you would think that there would be ability to draw blood on. If
you shot something with rubber, rubber,
it could be friction. If the bullet was spinning, if it was an actual round bullet, the spinning of the friction,
rubber
you'd think
bounces bullets off, but can't bounce swords off. That's in the manga.
Yeah, but that's literally
those
the only
are the
time
rules.
I get, okay, so that it is.
I know
what
they
it
just
is,
don't say
right?
it. They literally say explicitly that in the manga. It's like it's like guns won't affect me, but better watch out for swords.
Yeah, then Luffy starts, he's like, hey, I'm done talking, now I'm going to listen. And then all of a sudden, this dude stops being able to just like kind of fly around wherever he wants. And the Gum Gum Bell, probably the worst name of one of his finishing moves. Could have gone Gum Gum Headbutt, Gum Gum.
Yeah. He doesn't use that one very often.
Gum Gum Cushion. I don't know. We could workshop.
Gum Cushion. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but you always got to say the Gum Gum.
I got to say Gum Gum.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
I wish he was saying, like, in the Japanese, it's Gomu Gomu. I really wish he was saying that.
He kind of split the difference for me because he kind of had a little shadow vowel.
Yeah.
Especially on that one, the Gum Gum Bell, he took particularly long to get through it. He's like, Gum Gum Bell. So, all right, Kuro. By the way, I completely disagree on your Kuro versus Buggy thing, at least as far as what I saw in this live action. Maybe I would feel differently if I saw the anime.
I like Buggy a lot, and I like what Jeff Ward's doing. I just think I always liked Kuro more as an actual villain. I always thought of Buggy as like a
To me, Kuro is just like kind of one note in this whole thing. It's like he just never stops being like evil. And,
right. No, but that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. I like that he's like straightforward evil the whole time. Buggy gives the I'll say anything, do anything, get my way.
I just think the finger knives for me also just like an all-time, worst choice weapon. It's like, I get it. You're trying to be a cat.
It looks way cooler in the anime. It's just way different. The way I understand there are limitations of the live action. He looks goofier, but like, again, this is why I was interested to know what you thought, because it's like coming from watching it and like reading it, I love what they did, even though it's kind of silly. and the knife hand. The
Well,
finger
as I
knives
said
are
up
silly.
above, the cat people in general were some of my favorite.
Yeah.
And all of this is kind of splitting hairs because I enjoyed, pretty much all of this. So it's all, comes out in the wash. All right. Let's go
Demerits.
to...
Oh, no, not Demerits.
number 3.
Demerit. You get a demerit.
3. Yeah. So for me, the number 3 was the Shellstown Bar. So you got... The reason why I like this is because you had kind of all of your main crew before they were really in it with each other, but they're all in the same space, and they're all kind of doing different things. So you got Luffy and Kobe, they're plotting, talking about how they're going to get the map. All of a sudden, here comes Zoro coming in the door, dragging that torso in the bag. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. It's kind of, some serial killer stuff going on here. But then he also
Nami
is very, well, sure, I'll get to Nami. But before that,
No.
Zoro, he all is that he is the swordsman that cut this guy in half, and he's pretty cool and whatever. But then you also find out that he's very kind-hearted because of how he treats this rice ball girl and that whole thing. Then you got Nami, of course. Nami's honeypot situation where a tall Marine walks up to her and she's like, nope, too tall. And quickly you find out that she's just trying to find someone that she can basically get over and take advantage
uniforms.
of. Yeah, so she can get the uniform. But then you got Helmeppo the Goat, greatest of all time, coming in and, basically having probably the best character introduction in the entire series. And Zoro in his fight with Helmeppo plus, I believe, 4 Marines, hardly breaks a sweat. He provides a diversion so that Nami can knock out her guy. And so there's a lot going on. You kind of get a little taste of these different characters and groups. Helmeppo is just dialing it up to 11. And it's just another great Zoro scene. So that's my number 3, the bar.
And my number 3 is the Buggy Luffy, the crew fight. It's Luffy,
that's
Nami,
my
and
number
Zoro
2.
all together.
So let's talk about this and get those both out of the way.
Yeah, it's the first time you see the crew together fighting. Oh no, it's not. It's the second time, but the first time you see them against somebody with powers.
Yeah,
and they have to figure out how to deal with a guy who they can't hurt.
So really. I want you to explain to me what exactly. So I understand you got the chop fruit, which allows him to basically, if somebody chops off an appendage, he can put it right back. But also he can himself detach his appendages. Yeah. But also as a consequence, apparently he can also just free float all of his appendages wherever he wants.
There are rules. Yeah, his feet need to be on the ground.
His feet need to be on the ground. Okay, that wasn't clear to me, but that's...
So you don't even find that out until way on.
And what is the level? Is there any limit to the amount of pieces of himself that he can have floating around, or can he do this on a molecular level?
So this is so interesting that you say that. There are people, there is conceivably no limit to this power, but they don't really explore that. There are people who think that Buggy could be one of the most powerful devil fruit users because ultimately he could split an atom and blow everything up.
Yeah,
right?
I was thinking about that as well.
Yeah, so that it's funny that you say that because, there are people who believe that sort of thing. And ultimately, no. It's sort of up to the devil fruits users' imagination on how they can use their power and then working on it and then doing it. So he could make he could make all of his digits be separate, everything, conceivably. I don't think he would do that, but they don't really get into it further on down the line. He doesn't have more feats when it comes to his devil fruit power improving in that sort of way. But he could have his nose be just one piece. His ear could come off. That happens in his ears just come off so he can listen to people too. It's he can smaller pieces. Possible.
Yeah, he basically can turn himself into like an asteroid field, and it's like, how are they going to deal with this? And then it turns out that Nami's, pretty good with the staff, and she can just kind of knock him into these various boxes. So once they figure that out, it's, they're playing a little pickup game of baseball, putting him in little crates, and then by the end of this thing, all he's got is his feet and his hands and his head, and he's Little Buggy.
Little Buggy is also canonical. He stays as Little Buggy for quite a while, actually. Yeah.
But instead, he just gets Gum Bazookaed out the tent in this case. Anything else about the Buggy battle?
No, I just like it a lot. They did really well with the CGI. There's a lot of work that they had to do to make him, Jeff Ward's character.
This was definitely the most, CGI, at least in the context of a battle. And
it wasn't bad.
It was fine. I was also curious as you see the inside of him, and it's basically just white. So I was wondering what the deal with that was.
It was probably an aesthetic choice by the designer. I don't know. I really don't know about that part. I feel like it's just easier to do it that way.
Oh,
that's what I would have done.
Sure, it would have been. They do show. What's interesting is they do pick 2 or 3 places, and most of them were at the very beginning where they show a little bit of blood and gore, like in the aftermath of Velveeta hitting that guy on the head with the mace, and Kobe's cleaning up the blood. And then, you got the tiny scratch on Luffy's chest.
The Mary stab, too.
Oh, yeah, the Mary stab. Yeah, with the 5 points of blood.
But limited blood, but there's still...
Very limited.
There's still blood.
Yeah. So they could have gone in a whole other direction and had that be one of the most gory, weird parts. Probably a good choice not to. Okay, what's your number 2? Because that was my number
2. Is another group fight. It's their first fight. It's the Axe Hand Marine Courtyard fight.
And that's my number 1, so we can get into that now, too.
Okay. Yeah.
So this thing starts where you got Nami and Luffy have just kind of gotten the safe out. My biggest question about that is, how did Nami survive that fall? That's insane how far they fell. I understand Luffy is the rubber person. If he's rubber, she should have at least bounced off him into the air, and that's a whole other thing. Or, she's breaking every bone in her body on impact. So they go with the safe, flying out of the tower onto the ground. Nami and Luffy almost immediately get busy. There's Marines coming out of everywhere. And then Zoro comes out, and he basically sees the open door, and he's thinking, I could get out of here. But then he's like, nah.
Could leave.
I'll
stick around.
I'm going to power slide and just take some of these guys out, with as little effort as possible. One of the things I love about Zoro is it seems like he's expending the minimum energy, but applying maximum damage at all times.
Yeah. That's pretty much Zoro's whole thing.
I think they nailed that about him. This is the first time you really see Nami, doing a thing with the staff. So she's doing
kicking
that.
Ass.
And then in the background, you just see Luffy, doing flips and getting it over on some guys just hand to hand. And then let's see, the 3 of them get a nice little team shot at one point where they're lined up, just the 3 of them in the middle of the screen. And then that's when the big boss,
Morgan, here he comes
on, and basically immediately Zoro and Luffy are kind of not working together too well. Then they're working together a little better as that fight goes on, while Nami is kind of dealing with the rabble in the background while they kind of take on the big boss. This is also where after a few... after Axe Hand Morgan is a little tougher than maybe they anticipated, this is where Zoro puts on his bandana. This is the first time he breaks out the third sword, and Luffy's like, oh, so that's where it goes. And then you get the teamwork where Zoro ends up with the third sword at Morgan's throat, and then you got the gum whip kick, and then you got, all the great fighters call out their finishing moves.
Yeah. You have to call out your finishing moves, Jackie. It's true.
And then Zoro's I don't think that's true.
No, it is true. It's true.
It's one of my favorite parts of anime. And I mean, I've told you this a million times, but one of the anime that I have seen is Captain Tsubasa, which is a soccer anime. Yeah. And I love how every player has their own, when they kick the ball, they all have their own special move. I'm going to do my tiger shot.
Yeah. But Jackie, what's what's an anime without a finishing move? What is a Dragon Ball Z without a Kamehameha? You know?
You got to spend 3 episodes, gathering the spirits for the spirit bomb, though.
Okay. It's more like 10 episodes.
I was being kind.
It's actually probably more than that. I feel like it's like 20. I'm going to go back and look one day.
All right. What else do you have about that Marine Yard, Axe Hand Morgan?
I have one little fun fact about it. Original release. There's a couple of things that Netflix can do because they're a streaming service, and that's editing mistakes that they have made. In this fight, there was a mistake. Zoro's swords, when they're in the sheath, aren't always actually swords in the sheath. It's just like the hilt on top of like a fake sheath that are like rubber. And he did like a roll, and the Wado Ichimonji, the white sword, the one that's Kuina's, like bends in half, and he's like rotating around.
Yeah.
And it's not on there anymore because like the internet went absolutely bananas.
Sure.
They're like, how could he? They're like freeze framing it, and they're like,
I was wondering about
half.
the logistics of some of that as well, because especially when he has it in his mouth, I was like, that's got to be CGI. Like that would be so dangerous.
Yeah. They absolutely
that would
have.
Be so dangerous to have a blade in your mouth while your arms are like,
It's insane.
And, I mean,
but
not to mention your teeth and whatnot.
But everything, it looks so good. For what it is, and it being like the first big bad fight of the series, I think it really did well.
Yeah,
and I only have one fight above it. So
yeah, and just one last note on this one. Also, what I liked about it, like this one felt like it was outside in the real world.
Yeah,
very
real.
The sun was coming in. Like it was a nice fight to watch. It's hard to describe, but it's just like it was just a good watch. I think originally I actually had the buggy battle. Like after my first watch, I was just putting together my soft list, and I actually had the buggy battle as number 1. But as I was rewatching, I just like the open air vibe of the Marine Yard. I like Axan Morgan a lot as a villain. He's like the perfect first big bad that you can have in a show. He's like the first trainer that you see at a Pokemon gym kind of vibe.
Exactly, Jackie. Yeah.
So I appreciated that. Let's go to your number 1.
My number 1 is Zoro versus Sham and Buchi.
So they're in the foyer of the mansion while
it's giving me Matrix Reloaded vibes the whole time. The wire work is the reason I like it. There's not a lot of it, but there's just enough to make it seem sort of like otherworldly. Zoro sort of floats off the stairs. Butchie launches Sham up over the railings, that kind of stuff. It makes it seem... There are grounded portions of the fight where they're just slashing and doing very nice like sword choreography, sword machete, double sword, double machete, single sword choreography. There are 3 people. They're doing a lot of stuff. A lot of blows in between. Probably took hours and hours. But then to add that wire work on top of it, it just sends it to another level for me. I think the axe hand stuff is cool. Not like it's because they're outside, not nearly as much opportunity to do the wire work. It gives me this Tarantino Kill Bill. You're stuck, so the only place to go is up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't go side to side.
Yeah, it was a really well designed set. It was a nice room to be in. I think what I like about the Marine Yard is I always like it when there's just like a bunch of cannon fodder guys. So that's one aspect of why it moved up for me as well. But this particular part of the Black Cat battle, just a couple things I have written down about that. An all-time entrance by Bucci. So he's now in his like Batman, Catman get up, and like the sound that he makes when they're just about to like get into the fight is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. He's like, yeah, like he doesn't like I'm expecting him to do like a cat hiss because that's what Sham does. She does her little hisses, but he just goes, he's like, yeah.
Yeah, the sounds. That's another thing. You'll notice this throughout later on, specifically with All Long. When people laugh, villains specifically laugh, they have like very specific things that they're doing, or like there are sounds that characters make. And that's like the hissing for Sham is like one of those things. That's in the anime. They're making those sounds. It's like vocalizations. I wouldn't say onomatopoeia necessarily, because that's not what it is. I'm trying to think of what word I would use to describe it. But I can't even explain. I'm going to give you one of the laughs, and the people who know the show will know. But it's like one of the characters laughs like, "Zeh, ha, 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 ha." And everyone knows who that is immediately. There's another one that's like, there's another guy who constantly says the word lick in Japanese, but it's perori. So he'll just be like talking, it'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to the store later tonight, perori." And it's just like, what a weird thing to do. But it's fun. I like all that stuff. And I like that they keep it in, because that's part of the charm. I'm glad you liked that Butchie thing. Oh, can I add one more thing?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
There's a couple of, like, there's this thing that Butchie does when he, like, jumps and he, like, plants both of his feet on the ground and it looks like he's trying to stomp down on Zoro. That's, like, a move that they use in the anime, but they don't name it in the show. It's like a lot of subtle nods to a lot of things that go on that they didn't have time for, that happen just in the fight. And it's very cool that they were able to put it all in with, like, just choreography. All right. That's why I liked it.
So those were the top 5 fights.
Top 5 fights.
So now we just got a couple awards to give out. And we're going to start with the Strangers in the Night Award. This is for the best featured performance. So this is, someone who's not in the main cast. Who was your favorite? I've got I got like 4 nominees for this one on my side.
I only have one, and there's only one answer for me.
All right, go for yours.
And it's the narrator at the beginning, Ian McShane.
I would say definitely if you're approaching this as a cameo, that's probably the best answer, because, that's like the only name that you've got in here. But I do want to mention some others. Ian McShane was the one that I had written down first as well. But I do have to mention, if I took Ian McShane out of it and I made this more about a featured performance rather than a cameo per se, Aiden Scott as Helmeppo, just the amount of heat
I agree.
per second that he was giving off and the way that he dialed it up in every scene that he was in was fantastic. And then as my runners-up, I have Langley Kirkwood as Exan Morgan, and I had to give a shout-out to Celeste Lutz, another South African actress, as Kaya. I thought she did a nice job, and I wanted to get some female representation on my list because she played the sickly, rich girl very well, I thought. All right.
Yeah, Jackie, if I had to pick somebody who is just like a featured performance, I think, we'll see more of him later, but I really like All Long, where he's at the very, very end of the 4th episode.
He had a vibe that he was a cross between like some shock adjacent fish and Lawrence Fishburne to me.
Yeah, McKinley Belcher III. He and I know what happens later. But for this, if I were to pick a feature, and the other thing is, I know what a lot of the opinions of this show were when they came out. I know that people were really into Buggy. I know that people were really into Shanks. Mm-hmm. But All Long for me from the beginning.
Could give a shout out to Shanks too.
Yeah, Shanks is.
I've seen that guy in Yellow Jackets. So that actor I've seen around did a nice job.
I think the combination, partially, it's like acting with prosthetics as well. All Long, and you'll see it later too. He does a great job in this scene that we get a taste of him in, but like later on, he gets so good. It gets so good.
Yeah, and he wasn't really in any of our categories. I'm sure we'll talk about him a lot on the next episode when we cover the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
So-
the penultimate, or no,
Yeah.
the ultimate
They're setting him
bad.
up. They're
at
setting him
yeah.
up as the heavy, for sure.
He is, yeah.
All right. The Me and My Shadow Award for the best brothers, sisters, or companions. For me, I've only got one thing written down. And Tyler, it's the cat people.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, yeah.
It's got to be, what are their names? Bucci and
Bucci and Sham.
Sham, yeah. Bucci and Sham. They come
That's fun.
in their, cat regalia to battle Zorro. I think they got, they throw bodies down the well together. They have some nice companion moments. So I had to go with the cat people.
I like that answer a lot, Jackie, and I was thinking about it a little bit differently. Kobe and Luffy, brothers on accident. Luffy is the most supportive, sort of idiotic person. It's like, I don't care if you want to be a Marine. I'm a pirate. I don't understand the implications of that, and I don't care because you're my friend, and that's all that matters. And Kobe's like, are you an idiot? And he's like, yep. And he's like, all right. And that's just how it goes. And they maintain respect for each other throughout the entire series. And they're brothers, Jackie. They're brothers. They deserve to be brothers.
So that's the Me and My Shadow Award. Who is your chairman of the board? Who won this string of episodes?
I gotta tell you, it wasn't this way the first time I watched it. I loved Captain Kuro. Alexander Maniatis, Calidor, Kubo, or
Okay.
Kuro. I like that he's menacing the whole time. I like that there is no question about, like, from the viewer's perspective, that he is evil and that he is just terrible. He gives me, is it Zachary Levine, who is the serial killer in, like, the third season of American Horror Story? Do you know what I'm talking about? He gives, like, mad, like, American Horror Story vibes this entire time. And I think it sort of shows how naive Kaya is and how you can be, like, Stockholmed. He is bad. There's no... You look at it, the servants, or the Butchie and Sham, and you're like, how do you not see that these two are Team Rocket?
Yeah.
How do you not see it? And
the real...
it is
the real
comical, but
loser,
I like it.
And the real... that's just another ding against our guy, Mary. I mean, he was the Guardian... He had to.
Mary.
He had to be.
That's why he
more locked
died.
in. I guess so.
Oh.
That's what you get, Mary. Sorry.
No, but yeah, Captain Kuro.
So that's your guy. Kuro.
And I honestly, as silly as his costume is, he wore that. He really wore that, Jackie.
Yeah. So this is funny because this kind of speaks to kind of how we've approached things a little bit differently and how our stuff has been ordered differently. But for me, it was Buggy the Clown. So
yep.
Kuro, Buggy. Kind of the two main bad guys if you're going to take out Axan Morgan, who is just kind of like the tutorial bad guy. So yeah, I went villain as well. I went Buggy. Again, I just think he dialed it up kind of throughout. A fun battle, fun stuff happening in the episode with the circus. Some of my favorite moments were with his people and the unicycle guy and all that. So everything that came out of Buggy was a lot of fun for me. I had a little bit more fun in the first two episodes than I did in the second two. Not to say that I didn't have fun all around. And then I also wrote down, if I had to go outside of the villains and I had to pick someone from kind of our core crew, I would say that Zorro won for me because he came out looking really good in all of the fights that we had. He didn't really have any profound weaknesses other than, struggling to get out of that well for a hot second, but he had to, go and remember.
Yeah, so this is, I can see how you would say that. Nami, if I had to pick one, it would be Nami for me. I think Nami, as specifically like a female protagonist right now in the way that like our society sees women protagonists in movies, I think she is really good. And she's got like the cat burglar angle where she's morally gray, kind of, but she's still a badass, can kick ass.
She's like Misty Catwoman.
Yeah. But she has honor, and you're going to find out later, like,
yeah, well, I think there's a lot of questions about her.
For, like,
there's a lot of questions from my side, not knowing what's going to happen, because, you know, she has a couple of moments where you're like, can we trust her? She runs out in the buggy scene. She's like, hey, you want a freak for your circus? What about this guy? Throws the hat up. Luffy stretches and grabs it, and then she tries to run out, and then she, you know, stops running when she sees that the town. I mean, it's just like that was some weak sauce from Nami. If you're really trying to get away, just like keep running. You know, you don't get so strung out over pirates being pirates. Then she had the secret snail where she was talking and like, hey,
secret snail.
We got the map here. We got it. And
tell him I've got the map.
Yeah. So there was like maybe those two, and then probably another third or fourth moment where you're meant to question exactly what's going on with her. But she kind of, you know, is sticking it out for the time being. She's still part of the crew, but she's probably also the one with the most questions about loyalty, you know, of any of them that are in that crew so far. So,
well, she also hates pirates, so
yeah, and that's
I wonder why
thing.
that is.
Let's just talk about that broadly before we say goodbye. That's one of the most interesting parts to me is like, you know, a pirate by definition, is just, you know, what pirates have done historically. It's like they're on this other side of the law, and typically they're doing very illegal, violent, and terrible things.
Yes.
But like Luffy is just trying to like reclaim the name pirate. Like, they're not all bad. It's like, you could just call yourself a sailor. Like, why does Luffy need to proclaim that he's a pirate? So you got these good pirates and bad pirates. If he just like used a different word, I think that people would just be a little bit smoother at, you know, getting on his side, because he's like, hey, I'm a pirate. And it's like, oh, well, pirates, you know, pillage and, you know, enslave people, and, you know, they killed my father and that kind of thing.
So, totally. Historically, yes. But fictionally, pirate comes in the One Piece world, comes from an original pirate. There was one pirate that started everything, and that person, it's hard to tell. History doesn't tell the One Piece people whether that person was good or bad. And that's sort of how this story keeps on going. Yeah, they are reclaiming the idea of piracy.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately you get down to like 3 factions, I think, in the grand scheme of One Piece.
A lot of rule of threes about this stuff.
Yeah, and it's pirates, the world government, and the Marines. And you would think that the Marines and the government are like the same, but they're not. And then you would think that like there are parts of the government that like overlap with pirates, and you think that it's all involved. There's a lot of like ground to cover with why pirates are considered what they are in this. And
I mean, from what I can tell, they're just the pirates are like the libertarian, you know, we want freedom and just to do whatever we want, find treasure and whatever. And then you got a good side and a bad side. You got the Marines who are a little bit more structured and military based. There's good Marines and bad Marines, and, you know, Marines with metal jaws and axes for hands. And then this world government, they were not involved in these 4 episodes. I don't know.
Yeah, so you don't know anything about that.
We'll find out.
Yeah, it's... Now, the viewers at home don't know this, but Jackie and I were talking about this, and he said he was doing a little bit of research, and there was something on the internet that said that One Piece is an anti-fascist work. Now, I don't want that to shape it. I don't think that it's explicitly anti-fascist. I think what it's doing is it's holding up a mirror to what like society has, and much with most writing. So yeah, there are parts of it where there are these, because Luffy's like, I just want to I want to be free, do whatever I want all the time. And then there's another group who's like, no, there are rules and justice. And you haven't met the world government yet, but they have a completely different idea about those things.
Yeah.
So to have all of them come to a head, and that's where we are now with the current stuff that's happening with, like, if you're up to date with the manga and reading it, it's coming to a head. The story's going to end in probably the next 5 years, folks. And if you better strap in right now, because it's going to get good.
All right. Well, I'd really like one of those Marine hats, I have to say.
Honestly, the Marine uniforms are just great.
The Marine uniforms, one of my favorite translations from the anime over to the live action. I just love how they just made exactly that. They didn't try to change it at all. They just got the hats, baseball hats that say Marines on them.
Yep.
It's like, I want my hat to just say exactly what I'm a part of.
What I'm doing, yeah.
And it's like one of those things where you go over to Asia and everybody's got shirts with English words because they think it looks cool. But then to like a native English person, it's like, wow, why did the Marines just have these hats that say Marines? At least they say Marines and not like something, like weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a mistranslation that's on accident.
Yeah, it's like people get, the opposite way when you get like an Asian character on your arm and it says orange chicken and you wanted it to say peace and you're like, and everybody's like, oh, that's your favorite order. Yeah. All right. So next week, Tyler, we're going to be doing a little bit more of the same. We're going to do the other half. One Piece live action, part 2. Episodes 5 through 8. So we'll come to the conclusion of this first season and get ready to go for the next season coming on March 10th. Any last words, Tyler?
Jackie, I was just thinking.
Pere, 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 pere. Pere, 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 pere.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
The old shell phone. The snail transponder
snail.
Yeah, the transponder snail. Okay, I'll get it someday. Thank you for listening to the Brother Sinatra podcast. I'm Jack Sinatra.
And I'm Tyler Sinatra.
And we're
the Brother Sinatra.